So before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know that this week I'm opening up enrollment for my signature program, the Online Summit Program. Specifically, I'm looking for no more than 10 hikers who want to get strong and pain-free so they can conquer every adventure. If this sounds like you and you want to find out a bit more, shoot me a message to the Summit Strength page on Facebook or Instagram with the words, "I'm interested." From there, we can have a chat and see if and how that the program might be a good fit for your goals and situation. So whether you have a big trip in your sights, or you want to finally make a change to your knee, back, foot, or ankle pain, or you simply want to be in a great physical position so you can be confident to jump into any adventure that you want, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Shoot me a message, we can have a chat, and we'll go from there. Hey, my name is Rowan Smith, and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare, and conquer your upcoming hike, trek, or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude, and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable, and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. Alright, hello guys. Today I want to explore and dive into a little bit around why I started Summit Strength and why I started this particular podcast and why I do my full-time job helping hikers get in a better physical and mental position for their adventures. Now, I've talked about this occasionally on the podcast, but I know we're getting new listeners every single week. I know people are coming on board and listening to all this information, and I thought I'd just take a step back just so people kind of knew where I was coming from with all of this and what this is all about. So really, Summit Strength was my business, which is an online personal training business for hikers and trekkers and mountaineers. Summit Strength was really founded on my belief that hikers, they deserved a specialized training service and not just some, one size fits all, almost cookie cutter program, which is so common in the fitness industry and the adventure industry as well, which will generally fail them, halfway along the trail or halfway up the mountain. Now, when I first started working with hikers about 5 or 6 years ago, I really saw there were two options available for them if they were in a position where they wanted to get fit for an adventure or whatever it may be. Now, on one hand, there were all these sort of pre-made programs which hikers would get from their trekking companies. So if you booked on a tour with a company, they would generally give you a program. Or if you went online, you're like, how do I get fit for hiking? There'd be all these programs you can download. But the issues with these programs were they were just so poorly designed. And they were so incredibly thoughtless. It was really disheartening. And generally you'd see things like, go out hiking 3 or 4 times a week, and each week you just increase the distance. A little bit of strength training might involve just squats and lunges and just add extra repetitions every single week, maybe some sit-ups, or just some ridiculous exercises like bicep curls or crunches or whatever. And, that was generally it. And, from my perspective as a trainer, this option did not look good to me because immediately you can tell as a professional, there's very little thought gone into this. It's generally just some guy who might do a little bit of training themselves who've written these things up and not someone who actually understands exercise programming or exercise physiology or anything like that. And I saw immediately, these things were bad. To put it lightly, they were bad. And people were coming to see me and they were having these programs, they're working off these programs. And I'm like, I have no idea how to fit this into my life. Or they were doing it and they stuck with it for 4 or 5 weeks and they're like, I've got foot pain now, I've got knee pain, I'm just so sore, or whatever it may be. And this option was just not great. And I saw it all the time. On the other hand, the other option available to hikers was to kind of go and see a local personal trainer and just hope that they could help them. But unfortunately, even though personal trainers are, officially a qualified personal trainer, most people out there don't have a clue about hiking. and they don't really have a clue about actually improving people's performance. And unfortunately, most people that I was talking to and most people that I was seeing were just getting trained exactly the same way as anyone else who was walking in the gym, whose typical things they want to do are either lose weight, or either put muscle on, or just stay generally fit. And in fact, even where I was working, where literally half the clientele coming into our gym specifically were preparing for big treks, everyone got trained like that. And there were people who were literally trying to lose weight, training exactly straight next to people who are training for Kilimanjaro. They're doing the exact same exercises, exact same programs. And it really, it was just not good. And then that's happening all around the world. If that's a place where hikers are coming every single day, imagine, personal trainers who have never talked to a hiker in their life, what they're doing. Pretty much the same thing. And looking at both of these options, neither of them were great. Neither of them seemed to be, have any thought behind them. And neither of them seemed to be very relevant for hiking. Because when you think about it, it is pretty obvious that hikers are very unique and they do have their own unique demands, which are very, very different to the regular Joe in the gym. For example, hikers need to be moving for hours and hours and hours and days, even weeks and weeks. And pretending that spending 30 minutes in the gym jumping around doing an exercise class is going to get you ready for that type of activity? I don't really think so. And for example, hikers need to be ready for all different types of things on the trail. So for steep ascents and descents, for steps, for slippery surfaces, for mud, for roots, for rocks, for traverses, to unstable terrain, to snow, and all of that. That's very, very unique. Every single one of those things I mentioned, but none of that was getting addressed in anything I saw. Hikers often need to carry a heavy pack, which sounds simple in itself, but there's a bit goes into that. And hikers need to protect themselves from common issues that come up again and again and again, like plantar fasciitis or ankle pain or knee pain or back pain, which so many hikers worldwide are constantly trying to find answers for, but there just weren't anything out there. Hikers need to know how to best fuel themselves over hours of exercise when they have to carry everything on their back. Hikers need to know how to self-manage their issues on the trail. So if they're 3 days into an adventure, they're not going to have a chance to go get a massage or see a physio. They need to know what they can do to help themselves through. And hikers need to be ultimately ready for when things go wrong. So if an incident happens on the trail, if you have a gear malfunction, if the weather turns, if something happens, you need to be ready to be able to perform in that situation and survive, because there's no safety net. Obviously, hiking was an incredibly unique sport. And I knew that because I'd done lots of hiking in my life. And I also knew, even though I was working in this environment, that what we were doing personally and what was doing around the world, worldwide, from the trekking companies, from other personal trainers, from other people who were, claiming they were specialized in hikers, it just wasn't very good. And there was just this massive demand for quality information, for clear answers. And I knew that I was actually in a position to do this. Purely for the fact that I'd spent my life hiking. I'd spent my life adventuring. I knew what goes into these adventures. But also, I'd spent my life, or my adult life I should say, dedicated to learning about the human body and sports performance. I went to university and got a bachelor's in sport and exercise science. I'd been working in the fitness industry as a coach in all different ways, shapes and forms since I was 16 years old. I trained every person under the sun. I knew how to coach people. I knew what people needed. And I found myself in this really, really unique position where I was like, you know what? This is time for a change. Not just for me to get out of the old weight loss and, muscle gain world and start working with some really amazing people, but also for the fitness, the adventure industry as a whole, for the hiking industry as a whole, because there's millions and millions and millions of hikers out there. Many of them don't need help, but many of them do. And I wanted to be that change. And that was initially the inspiration behind Summit Strength, where I was like, you know what? I'm in position to step up here, to deliver quality information, to give clear training guidelines, to help hikers of all different shapes, sizes, situations get in the best position for their adventures, whether you are trying to get ready for one of the biggest mountains in the world, whether you're just trying to get on top of an ache or pain that's been plaguing you for years, or whether you've just got local trails you want to get out and explore and you just want to be in a position where you can enjoy it in the best way you can. That is what I wanted to make a change, and those are the people I wanted to help. And that is exactly what I do today. I spend my entire full-time job as an online personal trainer helping hikers get in the best physical position for their adventures. And it's literally what I do for day to day, and I absolutely love it. And over the last 3 years with Summit Strength, I've helped many, many, many hikers all around the world in so many different situations, personally, and hopefully through this podcast, through my blog articles, through so many different areas that I put out information, hopefully hundreds and hundreds, potentially even thousands more. And I absolutely love it. So hopefully now you have a little bit extra insight into where I'm coming from with all this, why I do what I do, and sort of what the change I'm trying to make in this space, and why I'm constantly on this podcast delivering information and, trying to hammer it through the hiking community, because the hiking community does need a change. And I'm really, really proud to say that I'm slowly helping with that in my small way. So if you were in a position where you've been listening to me, you're like, you know what, right on, Rowan. I get this. I like this. I feel this. I want to make a change to my hiking. I want to be doing the right training. I want to be taking the right steps for this unique sport. And I want to be doing things that are personalized for me and the thing that I love to do. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Now, this week, I've got open enrollment for my signature program, which is the online summit program. Specifically, I'm looking for no more than 10 hikers who ultimately want to get strong and pain-free so they can conquer every adventure. Now, if this sounds like you, if you do want help with your training, if you want to take things up and you want to get yourself in the best position for whatever hiking you want to be doing, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Shoot me a message to the Summit Strength page on either Facebook or Instagram with the words "I'm interested." We can have a chat. I can talk you through how it all works, and we can see if and how the program might be a good fit for your particular goals and your particular situation. So if you do need help, if you want to make a change, I really would absolutely love to hear from you. So thank you so much for listening today, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.